Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together.
Welcome, baseball family, to this week's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. My name is Brad, and I'm going to be driving this ship with our guy, Mr. Brig. How are you this evening, Brig?
Sober. How are you, Brad?
That's good. That's good. I'm good. Also,
thank you.
Well, I mean, you call me. Brig introduces me to people who don't know. When we would go places and he'd be getting a drink, like you drink for your friend. Like, no, he's a teetotaler. That's how Brig introduces me to people, as a teetotaler.
Yeah.
And
so Brad's a forever teetotaler, and I am celebrating sobriety. It's all exciting.
That's how we're living our lives. Okay, there is not actually a whole lot going on this week, but I think there's some conversation that we can have surrounding it. So This is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about them, and we're going to see how it goes. So first things first, let's talk about some notable signings across baseball. The biggest one, Brig, though, I think is Max Scherzer signing with the Blue Jays for 1 year, $15.5 million. Okay? We'll come back to these because just give you a minute.
Just going to run down the list first. All right, cool.
So the next one, we got Jorge Polanco. He re-signed with the Seattle Mariners, 1 year, $7.75 million. He's actually going to play third base.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Flaherty, he went back and he signed with the Tigers. 2 years, $35 million. Tommy Kahnle signs with the Tigers also for 1 year, $7.75 million. Ha-Seong Kim signs with the Rays for 2 years, $29 million. He's going to miss the start of the season, recovering from shoulder surgery. Instead, Taylor Walls will play shortstop, which is where they're going to put him at shortstop. Kirby Yates is the last one. Kirby Yates signed with the Dodgers, 1 year, $13 million as a result in a corresponding move. The Dodgers DFA'd, designated for assignment, Ryan Brazier, who is owed $4.5 million this year. Okay. Like I said, we'll get back to that because that's a fascinating one.
That one is.
Brig, what do you think about the move with Max Scherzer to the Blue Jays?
You know, I've been thinking a lot about this. I think 1 year is a little bit of a prove-it deal, and that's fine. I got it. I also think he's old and slowing down, let's be honest. Injury-prone as well, given recent history. So maybe a prove-it deal is not necessarily fair, but what else do you have in the tank?
You're getting a prove-it deal.
No, it's what else you got. I can't commit to 2 years. I'll give you one.
And we refuse to commit to 2 years of you.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, and that's what I mean from the Blue Jays. They're like,
oh, yeah.
Nope. Well, let's see how one goes. Might get out of here. I think the price tag makes sense, right? If he can bring what he's got left, then great. That's awesome. Everybody wins in that situation. I don't think there's anything wrong with the price. What do you think?
I think the price tag is based absolutely 100% on what Justin Verlander got from the Giants.
For sure.
Because Verlander got 1 year, 15. So, of course, Max Scherzer, being the union man that he is going to ask for 15.5.
Yep.
Right? So, there's that.
Makes sense.
I think it's a good move for the Blue Jays. They had some issues with pitching last year, and it's kind of like what do we got to lose? Right?
That's right.
Yeah, we need to get better. And if Scherzer stays healthy, there's a really good chance that he makes us better. If not, well, we wouldn't have had him anyway. So
exactly.
Might as well.
And with their deep pockets, it's not enough money to be worried about.
Exactly right. And they've whiffed on enough guys that they've got a bunch of money just lying around, it feels like, that's just waiting to be spent, burning holes in their pockets. So 15.5 for Max Scherzer.
Win-win. No big deal.
Yep, I absolutely agree. Okay, Jorge Polanco back.
And I wish him the worst. So.
Well, of course you do. Being a fan of an AL East team.
As a baseball fan, to get at least one more good year out of Max Scherzer is fabulous, right? Everybody wants that. But in the division, not a fan. Suddenly. Although I think he's
All right,
fabulous.
Jorge Polanco re-signed with the Mariners. So as a Mariners fan, at first I was kind of like, really? We're going to try to run this back again?
Yeah.
Okay, but first things first. This $7.75 million is considerably cheaper than what he was going to be owed if they had opted in to this year of his contract. Okay.
Mm.
Second, the rumor has it that they've been saying that I heard this on Foul Territory. They've been saying that he had his knee scoped. He had his knee cleaned. I don't know. I don't want to say scoped. I shouldn't say scoped, but he had his knee cleaned up. I think it was in November or December. That I guess it's been bugging him for a couple of years, and they think that maybe that was part of the reason he struggled so much last year. But like, you look at his numbers last year in the second half. Every number that you want to go up, Brig, in the second half of the season, went up. Every number that you want to go down in the second half of the season, i.e. strikeouts, went down. So if we get second half Polanco in Seattle this year, money. I'm all for it. I would love it so much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome.
But
hopefully
that hole at third
that's
base
what
is going to be a
happens.
big deal. So I think third base is a good spot for him at this point. Jack Flaherty to the Tigers, Brig.
Oh, dude. I didn't have that on my bingo card.
So
I think it's awesome.
Tarek Skubal was saying, he's like, Jack, let's run it back, baby, come back. Like he wanted him back. Like those two guys apparently get along really well, and he loved having Flaherty around. And I was like, I don't think that's gonna happen though. Like I don't think he's gonna go back to Detroit. And sure enough, there he is. Like,
I know.
Look out
Exactly.
for the Tigers.
Well, we were all going to need to look out for the Tigers anyway, but this is very exciting for Tigers fans.
Well, so you think about it. You think about they get into the playoffs. All they had was Skubal, right? In the wild card. Then it's like you get a win from Skubal, and then what? Well, now you get a win from Skubal in the wild card. You trot Flaherty out there. Tigers could be moving on, and a little bit more scary than what they were.
I agree.
Right? So it's a great move. Tommy Kahnle coming in. I think that's a really good move.
Dude, that's the other piece.
Yeah.
That's the other piece. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Depends on which Kahnle they end up with, but
that's always the question, right? Which version of a guy you're going to get?
Yeah, you either get well, I know that's always the question, but like, are you going to get late Yankees Kahnle, who just couldn't pull it together, or was a little bit spotty, or are you going to get prime Kahnle? If you get prime Kahnle,
yeah, so he's in his mid-30s. He's still, though, like last year for the Yankees, he appeared in 50 games with a 2.11 ERA.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, but late, what was his numbers? Late were not good.
Oh, I'd have to pull up
game
logs, Brig.
Okay, do it.
All right, let's just go splits. We'll look at his splits first half. See if we can find first half, second half for last year. Here we go. Home and away. He was pretty level. Home and away. He was actually considerably better at home, batting average wise, now that I look at it. So if you look at OPS at home, 724. On the road, it's 486. So that's a big deal. First half, his OPS against was 782. Second half was 503.
Whoa.
And that's just last year. I like that.
Maybe I flipped it.
May have. That's all right. You just knew that there was at one point he was not so great.
That's right.
He figured it out.
I remember that.
and maybe what it was, the second half he figured something out, and then now he's like, that could be the Kahnle the Tigers get.
Maybe that's it. Well, good for them.
Yeah. Man, they're stacking up.
It's going to be interesting.
Gonna be scary in that division. Ha-Seong Kim, I think this is the most that the Rays have ever paid for a free agent, is what I saw. 2 years, 29.
Dude.
It sure feels like
I don't think the Rays have ever paid for a free agent, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I think you're right.
$3 for a free agent going into Tampa Bay is probably the record up till now. So
It very well could be. The thing that's funny about it though is that like I know the Mariners were in on Kim, and so there's a couple things here that I want to talk about with this. Is that we talked last week about how if you're getting $10 in New York or you're getting $10 in L.A., where are you taking that $10? Most people are taking that $10 in L.A., right?
Certainly right now, yeah.
You're getting $10 in Seattle. You're getting $10 in St. Petersburg. Apparently, you're taking $10 in St. Petersburg because the Mariners had to at least offer $2.29. If they weren't, then John Stanton needs to sell the team because you've got to be able to pay more than that for a free agent, especially that caliber. If you're going to be competitive in this league, and you can just get the heck out if you're not going to. So there's that, right? But I'm going to tell myself that he chose the $10 in St. Pete over the $10 in Seattle because.
It helps you sleep at night.
Yeah, because he feels better about hitting in St. Pete than he does in Seattle. That's I'm going to tell myself, Brig.
Everybody hates hitting in Seattle.
And maybe part of it is that he wanted to play shortstop instead of second base. Because JP Crawford has shortstop nailed down in Seattle, and that might have been part of it. But
dude, that's got to be as much of an explanation as any. Like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it could be. But yeah, it worries me though seeing what guys went to other teams for. Like the Mariners were like quote unquote in on, and then they didn't get them, and it's like, you kidding me? Pony up, Stanton. Let's do this. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah, you're not wrong.
The Kirby Yates signing to the Dodgers, like $10 in LA. There it is.
That's right. Yep.
So, I don't know, man. Like, we'll get to it later, but it's crazy that, I don't know. I shouldn't say it's crazy because it makes sense, right? That you have a company that has a really great culture, is willing to pay you what you're worth, and not only has a great culture, but you're working with a bunch of good dudes, a bunch of guys you want to work with.
And winners.
Yeah, like if I was at a company where it was like, this place is good, it's fine, I like the guys I'm working with, but the culture kind of sucks and I'm not really paid what I'm worth. And there was a company that's like, yeah, we'll pay. Well, not only will we pay you what you're worth, but we've got a great company culture. Everybody here loves it. Go talk to them, ask them about it. And also, the people you're going to work with are freaking awesome. Some of the best in the industry. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? I feel like it feels like the Dodgers at this point have guys lined up at the door trying to get in.
It's the place to be for sure.
It is, and it's gotten to be so overcrowded that they can DFA a guy like Ryan Brazier,
right?
Who, by the way, last year, for those of you who don't know, pitched to a 3.54 ERA over 29 games last year.
Yep. Four starts, but he had a 0.2 WAR. Yates had a 3.3 WAR last year, and what did I see? Hold on, let me go back. Last year he pitched a 1.
Those are just bullpen games.
Yeah, but 1.17 ERA with 33 saves.
There it is.
Come on, man. I'd swap Brazier for Yates with those numbers.
I would too.
That's not
it's crazy. And let's see, and Brazier is 37.
Mm-hmm. Yates is 37.
He is 37, isn't he? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I knew he was up there, but I thought maybe he had a year or so on him. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just crazy because Brazier was good, right? And then I think a lot of teams would look at it and be like, yeah, we're good. But I guess, if you can upgrade and get better, then you take it where you can get it. Any chance you've got. That's how you win World Series. That's how you win a World Series.
It is, and I'm interested to see where Brazier goes now because I can think of a couple of places that would be a great landing spot.
Yeah. So they DFA'd him. Currently, as of right now, he's still in the organization. They haven't traded him or anything yet. So, and So I don't know what's going to happen to him, but I'm sure that he'll get moved during spring training. Somebody's bullpen is going to have an issue, and they're going to need somebody, and they're going to make a deal for him. So that's a lot
Yeah.
of the chatter surrounding Luis Castillo with the Mariners, why they haven't dealt him
Right.
yet, because the offer, so the deal just wasn't there. But a lot of the talk is that there's going to be a team somewhere that loses some starting pitching. They're going to need him. They're going to be desperate, and they're going to send some bats to Seattle for him. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right.
You think they'll give up Luis Castillo?
They've been talking about it all winter. Yeah. Yeah, they were trying to move him a while ago, but Jerry DiPoto just said that the offer wasn't on, that the right move wasn't on the table, which I'm like, don't settle for that guy, because you can get some pieces back. So because if you hold on to him, he's relatively cheap, considering what he brings to the table, and you're good. Like, he's still a great pitcher. So
I agree.
All right, so those are some notable moves that we've seen so far. Let's talk about Hal Steinbrenner. First off, I guess.
Okay.
Anyway, Hal Steinbrenner. He said to Yes Network, "It's difficult for most of us owners to be able to do the kind of things that they're doing," talking about the Dodgers. By the way, the Yankees are third overall in payroll at $303 million. They signed Max Fried, Paul Goldschmidt, Jonathan Loizaga. They traded for Cody Bellinger and Devin Williams. My first question for you, though, Brig, is George Steinbrenner rolling over in his grave?
Yeah, and we're all helping it. We're all down there. We're doing it in shifts at this point. We're like, okay, it's your turn, and I'm gonna go take a nap, and then we're rolling him over.
Yeah, I know.
He started it. He ran out of gas, and now we're helping him. Like, it's just absurd.
And so the other thing that I wondered about this is, like, is this just him blowing smoke, or is Hal Steinbrenner done spending big bucks? Does he not want to contend in payroll with the Dodgers and Mets anymore?
Here's what I think it is.
Because that's the Yankee way. That is the Yankee way, is to pay your players, pay your stars, and to win games by having a bunch of stars on your roster. That is what the Yankees have done as long as I've been alive.
Okay,
and then some.
That's not true. That's not true.
That is true, Brig.
No, it's not.
Okay, school me on it.
Listen, we did that until 2009.
That's true. Okay, you're right. After they won the World Series in 2009, then went away from it. Okay.
There have been a couple of years.
When did George Steinbrenner die?
I don't know off the top of my head.
July 13th, 2010. That's why it stopped.
Interesting. I was going to say there have been a couple of years since then where, we've had the right pieces. We've got, we've made the right moves. And I hate to keep banging on the trash can of 2017, but it's a great example. It just is, right? Everything was there. It was all set up. However, I think what it comes down to with Hal, and I'm not in those meetings, what do I know? But an outside looking in perspective is he is very happy to let the brand do what the brand does. He's also very happy getting some playoff money, putting butts in seats, an extra surge in merchandise and broadcast rights, etc. But you don't have to win the World Series. You don't even have to make it to the World Series to get a bunch of that cash. So obviously the deeper you go, the more you get. But, you're going to get a slice of the pie. Get into the ALCS. You're going to get it in the ALDS. I just think, and I've grown very cynical. But I think that based on my perception, last year, he was happy as a camper. I don't think winning or losing the World Series, I don't think it bothered him one way or the other, honestly. And I think I think you're going to need to bleep my words in your brain that I'm not going to say on the show because we're a family-friendly show. But just imagine the string of expletives that I have funneling Because it's just, dude, like, I'm not happy with Hal.
I wouldn't be either. So you bring up an interesting point there, Brig, because let's play a game. Just how cheap is Hal Steinbrenner?
Oh boy.
So I just did a quick Google search,
Okay.
and looks like the teams themselves pay for the rings.
They do.
Because that's not the way it is in every league. Some leagues, the league will pay for it. So I'm curious, Brig. Does Hal Steinbrenner just want to bring in the money of making it to the World Series, but not pay for the ring that comes with winning it?
He's like, that's too expensive.
I'm not shelling out that kind of money. I pay you guys how many millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Just put.
You want me to put together a team of designers for what? An extra team of? No, we're not going to commission somebody. Yeah, no. And this one opens up because that's what we're doing now. This one, the face of it like swivels open. That's dumb. That's what he's thinking. I got to give him the clubbies.
Clubbies get the B ring. No, I bet clubbies get the A ring. It depends. They all
I'm just saying
the ring rules. But
if he's cheap,
I don't know. It's weird coming from a Steinbrenner saying that like it's hard to pay that. Like, I think your dad would have said otherwise. I think your dad would have gone the opposite direction, and been like, how much more money do we need to throw at guys to bring them here? How far above the competitive balance tax threshold do we need to go to put a winning team on the field? Because George Steinbrenner was maniacal about winning. Hal Steinbrenner has not been that. Not
even close. Not only that, but George, rest in peace, was involved. Like meetings with managers, like touring the clubhouse, like asking guys direct questions, like what happened? What the freak happened? So you take George the third, you take him, and you inject his presence into the clubhouse in that final game of the World Series in the Bronx last year. Okay? That is as R-rated a moment as you're ever going to find. Like that dude he would have been. You remember in Angels in the Outfield when Danny Glover's character goes in and dumps the table?
And flips the table, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the rated G. That's the Disney version, I think, of what it would have been like with George last year. I think he would have been, and he would have cleaned house if he needed to. Like, cleaned house. People have been like,
have a job if George was alive.
No, he'd be like, okay, all right, you're going to go home. And yeah, I owe you the money. I don't care. Get your bad attitude and your winning mindset. You can take it somewhere else. If that's the way you want to win, if that's your mindset, get out. You're worth more money to me on the street than you are involved in what's going on. And he would have said that to Cashman, potentially, Boone, potentially, anybody below that, strength and conditioning, development, whatever. Doesn't matter. Nobody would have been safe. Nobody.
Right. Yeah.
Hal's like, I think we'll bring Boone back, and Cashman's doing a great job. And
the lack of that, that killer attitude, killer instinct, I guess you could say. That's what's been holding the Yankees back. Because the last time they won a World Series, the year before he died, and I don't think it's a coincidence, but I will say this about George Steinbrenner, is that he had it in his heart to go visit the parents of a front office employee who he thought had passed away. Even when that parent railed him about trading Jay Buhner.
Right. Yeah. He knew...
But it turned out George was not dead, so George Costanza was not dead. So
no, he wasn't dead. Thank you. Baseball family, if you didn't get that reference, you're too young. If you did get that reference, sound off in the comments. That was fabulous. Way to go, Brad.
Can we move on? Should we talk about Pat Hoberg?
No. Okay, yeah, we have to.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you pushed my Surly button.
Oh, I'm sure you could go on and on about this, and I would let you, but we're getting short on time.
Yeah, that's fine.
MLB fired umpire Pat Hoberg, not for no reason, by the way. It's because he was sharing a betting account with a friend who was betting on baseball. Whoa. Okay, so
Whoops.
they did say, this is according to Bob Nightingale, said there's not any evidence showing Hoberg bet on baseball. But
Sure,
actually,
Bob.
sorry, not Bob. This was not Bob Nightingale. This is Jesse
Oh,
Rogers.
okay.
Yeah, he said there's not any evidence showing Hoberg bet on baseball, but he also deleted messages central to MLB's investigation. So if he did, those messages are gone. It's kind of like when Tom Brady smashed his phone because he's accused of deflating footballs. It's like, well, you can't see him now, you know.
Except you
So,
can.
yeah, yeah. So there's a chance that maybe Pat Hoberg was, but the thing is like we can't ever forget that Pat Hoberg is the guy who called a perfect game of balls and strikes in the World Series, Game 2 of the World Series 2022 between the Astros and Phillies. Like that is a thing that happened. He is widely regarded as one of the best umpires at calling balls and strikes. So if he was betting on baseball, it certainly wasn't the games that he was calling. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying saying that it's okay, but I'm saying like I don't think that that's the case. Unless you want
It
to
would
go
be
back
difficult.
and look at all of his scorecards and be like, oh, wow, this was an exceptionally bad game for Pat Hoberg. Maybe you had money on this game. Or this is another game where he, a little questionable on those late inning calls. Maybe he had money there. But generally speaking, with Pat Hoberg, very good at calling balls and strikes. At the very part of the game where he could influence easily,
Oh, yeah.
seemed to have kept it pretty straight. But that being said, kids, don't share a betting account with your friends if you work in an industry where you're not supposed to bet on a certain sport because you lose your job.
Hello? Why is this complicated? Why is this complicated? Why do we have to keep revisiting baseball and betting? If they're anywhere near each other, then you're wrong.
Because
I don't
this
care.
is the thing, Brig. Is because there is a chance. So, I mean, it's the exact same reason that inside trading is a thing,
I know.
right? I don't
I
see a
know
whole lot of a
why.
difference personally between the stock market and betting on sports. Like, I know that there is, and people are going to be like, you're crazy for that. But personally, I don't see a whole lot of a difference because you're gambling on both. One just happens to return at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time on a game on the Eastern Seaboard, while the other one is a long game, right? Like, you're
Yeah.
gambling on both, okay? And there's insider trading because there is insider trading because there is a chance to win a whole lot of money or to get a whole lot of money in the stock market. That's why people do that.
Yep.
In sports, if somebody has an inside track to the training room, the clubhouse, for any reason, if somebody has a friend who's an umpire who can give some kind of insight to what's going on the field,
I know.
even if Pat Hoberg called it straight the entire time, he could be like, "Yo, I saw so and so limping the other day."
Yep.
Little bit of insider information that doesn't show up on an injury report for the rest of us, which, by the way, that's why we have injury reports, just so everybody knows. Spoiler. But it doesn't show up on there, right?
Yeah.
But so-and-so's got a little bit of a limp. This pitcher, I saw him stretching his arm a little bit longer than normal. Seemed a little odd to me. You have a chance to win a whole lot of money really fast.
I know.
And I'm not saying that the insider information is what the problem is. The problem is the integrity of the game.
That's right.
That Pat Hoberg was attached to it with an opportunity to manipulate the outcome of games. Not even the outcome of games, but if he takes the over on pitchers that day for strikeouts, wide zone. Takes the under, smaller zone. It's that easy.
It is that easy.
And if his buddy is the one who's putting money on it and he knows what bets he's making, that's a problem too.
Yep.
So that's why this happened. And that's why we always have to revisit it because there is a whole lot of money involved in it. And it changes hands really, really fast.
Oh, I know. We're looking at $700,000 or so is what is being reported right now.
Sometimes I get scared to make a $7 bet, Brig.
Right?
I'm putting together too big of a parlay. I'm like, let's go 5.
Okay. 7 legs. That should be some kind of bad joke. What has 7 legs and might get, you might end up bankrupt. It's a gambling problem. Parlay.
I did see, I was on DraftKings, I was on Instagram the other day, and these two guys were texting back and forth about their parlays, and so one of them goes, he's like, yeah, I hit my one leg parlay the other day. He's like, wait, you mean like a straight bet? He's like, no, it was a one leg parlay. He's like, yeah, it's a straight bet. He's, no, I'm calling it a one leg parlay.
Yeah, shut up.
So it's like,
Do what I
from
want.
now on, I'm placing one leg parlays.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
So funny.
I love that.
I love it. But if you're going into sports, just don't bet. Just
And if
find a
your
different
friends are
hobby.
betting, don't talk about it. Just don't talk about it.
Yeah. You know, on the New
Because this
Heights
guy was
podcast-
deleting text messages. Come on now.
Yeah. So on the New Heights podcast with the Kelsey brothers, I haven't watched it in a while, but I know before Jason Kelsey retired, so they had a betting sponsor. I can't remember what the sports book was, but they had a sponsor, and their producer would give picks. And so while he's giving their picks, they would take their headphones off because they weren't allowed to hear the picks.
Nothing to do with it.
That way they were clear, nothing to do with it. And then they had
Mhm.
a signal on the screen that he would like wave at and be like, "Hey, you're good." Put their headphones on. Like they couldn't even hear his picks, even if they had
That's
nothing to do with
awesome.
their games.
I love it.
So stay
That's
away.
great. Good for
Stay
them.
away. Yep. Okay, last thing we have. This is cool because this affects me directly. The Diamondbacks are fixing the roof. I'm so excited about this.
What does that mean, though? What does actually fixing it mean?
Okay, so I got this article. This is on the Diamondbacks website where they talk about this. This is so great, and I'll get into some of that in a little bit. So the problem that they had was, it says that they weren't comfortable opening or like moving the roof because there was something wrong with the cable system. Let me find it exactly what it was. Because they have really good phrasing. It says, for the past 2 years, this is like I said on the Diamondbacks website, for the past 2 years, the team has not felt comfortable opening and closing the roof with fans in the ballpark due to a cable issue. That meant that the club executives had to decide whether the roof would be closed or open before the gates to the ballpark opened, because they were worried that like there was something that could potentially fall.
Oh,
you
wow.
don't want that falling on people because that's bad news bears, right?
Yeah. No.
So
don't do that.
That was the issue. They're fixing it. It's going to be ready to go by opening day, which I think is great. But this is what they're calling it, Brig. This is the fix that they're calling it. They're calling it a catchment system. It says the catchment system will act as a safety measure should something happen with the cables.
What? That's not fixing the problem?
It doesn't look like they're actually fixing the problem. They're putting something below it, so should something fall, it doesn't fall to where the people are.
They're like, you know what would be cheaper? A net.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't know. So I am not entirely confident in going to Diamondbacks games. Where they might be opening and closing the roof. So this is the thing. This is a part of the reason they're so excited about that. First off, they can close the roof should an unexpected storm roll in, because that happens sometimes during the summer. Hasn't happened a lot over the last couple of years because we haven't gotten a whole lot of rain down here. Period.
But it moves fast. When it happens, it's fast.
When it does happen, it moves fast. Exactly right. You might see it like, we got 15 minutes to get that roof closed because that's how we just spotted it. That's when it's going to be here. But the other thing is they used to do Friday night fireworks. Right. So after the game, they'd open the roof and do fireworks, but they couldn't do that in the last 2 years because they couldn't open the roof while everybody was there. And so
it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Like fireworks, like there's two things people love going to baseball games: hot dogs and fireworks. Like that's going to get people in the stands,
and
right?
Beer. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's beer and
fireworks.
Beer and fireworks is going to get the people out in droves on Friday nights.
Oh man!
So they're bringing that back, and they're excited about it. But that catchment system is just weird to me. I don't know how effective that's going to be. I mean, the fact that they're putting it in place and telling people they can move the roof, that it's like fixed, because I saw like a social media post and got an email about it saying like Friday night fireworks are back, baby. So that's a thing. But there's also this, Brig. I watched a video. This is from Brody Brazil. I watched this today. He was talking about how there's a bill in place to help the Diamondbacks get money for the stadium. Okay.
Huh.
So not only is the roof an issue, but there are some maintenance problems throughout the stadium, like some concrete issues that need fixing. The AC apparently is on the fritz.
Whoa.
I went to a
That's
game
bad.
last year, and it was muggy as crap in there. It was so hot, and I was like, it has never been this hot in here. I was wildly
I've had
uncomfortable.
muggy upper deck experiences at Chase, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, because like before, I've been there and it's been fine. And granted, there weren't as many people there, so that's probably part of it. But
Yeah.
but anyway, so this is a reallocation of taxes generated by Chase Field. This is not a new tax, they're just reallocating. And so
Okay.
what it is from all purchases at Chase Field and income tax from everybody working there, including the players. Will
Aha.
Yes, money from this tax will go back directly into Chase Field. So the Diamondbacks can't use it for payroll. They can't use it to pay anybody. It has to be used specifically to maintain the ballpark.
Brilliant.
It is. The unfortunate part, though, Brig, is that the tax that they're reallocating was education, healthcare for low-income residents and prisons. 0.5 or half a percentage of the tax is going to continue to go to education. Because that's what it was before. They're like, we don't want to take away from education.
Okay.
But the healthcare is a problem, and prisons could potentially be a problem. But the fact that they're doing something and heading, I think it's a bill right now. There might be some reworking, I'm guessing, to maybe work things out a little bit better. But it's projected to generate $20 to $30 million a year for the Diamondbacks. And so I think if they have that money specifically designated to fix things around that stadium, upkeep it, we could see the Diamondbacks more likely to sign a lease when their lease is up after the 2027 season and stick around rather than going the way of the Arizona Coyotes to become the Utah Hockey Club. Because I guarantee you, Brig, if as soon as the Diamondbacks start talking like, we might need to move somewhere else to get a new ballpark, Ryan Smith is going to be, or either him or the Larry H. Miller Group is going to be down here, but like, we have a beautiful spot in Salt Lake.
Oh,
and you would just
immediately
love it. The view of the mountains is unbeatable.
Yeah.
That's what they would be saying.
That's not wrong. That's not wrong.
So I think this is really good for Phoenix, really good for the Diamondbacks, because
good.
This area needs a baseball team. It doesn't make sense for there to not be baseball in Arizona besides spring training.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, I like it.
So it's cool. It's exciting.
Cool.
It's good. Step in the right direction. I like it. But baseball family, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review everywhere that you can, especially on the YouTube machine. If you haven't already, do it there. Head over to schnookseedery.com while you're on your computer or your device and buy yourself some sunflower seeds. The season's coming up. It's just around the corner. Spring training is just a couple weeks away. So get yourself some sunflower seeds. Use code BTPOD at checkout to save 10% on your order. Hey, and if you need somewhere to put your seeds, head to seed-sack.com. Get yourself a seed sack and use code baseball 2 together to save 5% off your seed sack. Save yourself a little bit of cash. Get yourself an awesome spot to hold your seeds. And 1 pouch of Chinook seeds fits perfectly in a seed sack. Problem solved. Love it.
Bada bing.
But baseball family, with that, we will catch you later this week.